What's up, everybody? If you're like me, you absolutely love the Penguin. And while Matt Reeves wasn't a part of the Penguin specifically too much, he did have a hand in it, and he had a lot to say about how the Penguin connects to the Batman 2. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Matt Reeves got into a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff, as well as how the Penguin connects to the Batman 2. And I'll be breaking those down separately, kicking things off with some behind the scenes about how much involvement he had and his thoughts on the show itself. So, Matt Reeves wasn't actually involved in The Penguin so far as to actually go ahead and direct it or be the showrunner on it. That was Lauren LaFrank's job. So while Matt Reeves didn't put together the story or come up with the ideas for the story, he did set up a framework and a few other things that I'll get to in a sec, but he did set up a framework for Lauren LaFranc to follow. And then she kind of went and came up with the story, came up with what happens and all the details leading up to the conclusion. Now, the conclusion, however, Matt Reeves did have an ideal conclusion in mind. He told her that there needed to be a gang war and that by the end of The Penguin, he needed to be the Kingpin of Gotham. Another little behind-the-scenes factoid that came up during the interview with The Hollywood Reporter was something that I am extremely grateful they changed. If you have seen the finale, you know the insanely epic fate of Victor. I don't think anybody saw that coming until that specific scene. And then in that scene, something just felt off. And it was the perfect end to it, the perfect way to remind you that no, Oz is absolutely 100% a villain. And that is, of course, because he ends up killing Victor, his right-hand man, the person who helped him out through all of this the most, strangled to death. What? Such great story writing. And initially, that wasn't actually going to happen. Initially, they had it that Sofia was going to manipulate Oz into believing that Vic had betrayed him, and then Oz would essentially off him that way. So he was supposed to off him. Just this new way that they went with in the end essentially was, in my opinion, so much better than the initial one they had in mind. And I think that decision was extremely important to the show in general. I mean, it was already phenomenal even without that at the end, but I honestly wouldn't have been satisfied with Sofia tricking Oz into killing Victor. So I'm extremely happy that Oz was the one that offed him, even though that sounds like a very demented statement. But it also really fits, right? This whole time we're meant to kind of feel for Oz, right? Sofia as well, but we're really meant to feel for Oz as the main character. But then in episode 7, you're reminded that he is absolutely a villain, and he has been a villain since day 1. And on top of that, we already knew, but then there's a lot of heart that goes into 8, some of 7 as well. But that's all erased when he strangles Victor. I still can't believe it. It's insane. This is not only an incredible way to end the season, or maybe series if they don't end up doing a season 2, but it makes sure that if Oz does make his way into the Batman 2, which is what it seems like, you're not siding with him. You want him to be taken down. While Matt Reeves said that the Penguin didn't actually change anything for the Batman 2, he did mention that his vision for the future of Batman 2 and the world did get a little bit influenced by this phenomenal show. And considering the next one is supposed to showcase a lot of Batman's rogue gallery, I think we'll be seeing the Penguin again, and I even think we might even be seeing Sofia Gigante. Because, come on, we just found out by the end of this that her sister is Selina, half-sister is Selina. They didn't drop that in there for no reason. That's either going to be in the Batman 2 or something afterwards. Whatever it is, I can't wait. Alright, now let's talk about, is there going to be a season 2 of The Penguin or a standalone limited series for Sofia Gigante? For this one, I'm actually going to read it because there is a lot in what he says without much filler, so I will get right into it. Everything is on the table, but at the end of the day, we feel like there are more stories to tell in this world. So me and Lauren and producer Dylan Clark and Colin are talking, and we're trying to figure out whatever it is. It has to dig into this in a way that feels earned, the way this was. I wasn't ever interested in starting this thing to go, we just want to do stuff with the Penguin. What can we do that feels fresh? The idea of introducing Sofia was specifically about the way she was existing in this particular world, and in a way that makes you surprisingly start to root for her even though she's the antagonist to Oz. Then you realize, oh, they're both so messed up. This whole world is messed up. And Christine is so incredible. That was so personal to Lauren's vision that digging into Sofia's story further is a very exciting prospect. But where will it go? Truly, we don't know yet. And then they asked, since you finished the script and we know that Sofia survived, is it possible we'll be seeing her in the Batman 2? His response? I don't want to get into that right now. And while The Penguin was supposed to be a limited series, its success has Matt Reeves actively thinking about what a season 2 would look like. Personally, I'd love for it not to be The Penguin season 2, but be Gigante or Sofia Gigante limited series, and do the same thing that The Penguin did. Pick 3 characters, and then really focus in on each of their stories while keeping Gigante at the center of the story. Alright, those are the top questions and answers that I got from the interview. If you want to read the entire interview, I've left the link in the description, so go check that out. I always encourage reading the full thing instead of just the little bits that I liked from here, if you're a big fan. If not, this is essentially the meat of it. Until next time, keep it geeky.